Hello everyone, this is Introvert Shy Guy and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Okay, so I finished the Emmy arc and now as I've said before, I'm gonna do the Hanako arc and I'm really excited for that. So I'll just get started. Before I do, I'd like to mention that because I've actually done the Lilly arc first, there are both the Hanako arc and the Lilly arc. The paths to get to this kind of to one of these arc are kind of the same. Like, you know, if you interact with Hanako and stuff, and you interact with Lilly, it's kind of the same thing a little bit. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm basically gonna skip all the parts like that gets to Hanako and Lilly and I'll actually cut to the point where I go to this one selection part where you either go take a walk outside or you go to the library. Going to the library is where you start the Hanako arc, so that's where I'm going to stop there. So what I'm trying to say is, for those of you who are kind of new to this and would like to see what it's like for me reading to that leads up to the Hanako arc, I recommend for you guys to watch the Lilly arc segment. Basically, not the whole thing, just the beginning, but that before it gets to Lilly, I would say. So you have to watch these videos first, and that's basically what would lead up to the Hanako arc. I mean, I was thinking of doing it in the same part with just reading the Hanako texts and everything, but then I thought, because I've kind of already read to it and reacted to it and everything, it's kind of already been done, so I figured, like, I just tell you guys to just watch the Lilly arc segments, the beginning videos before the Lilly arc starts, so then you get the idea of what it's like, you know, interacting with Hanako and stuff before starting her arc. So I'm just asking you guys just to watch these videos before you watch, you know, this one. So just a little disclaimer right there. So yeah, anyway, today is January the 25th. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, this is where I actually wanted to stop at. This is the part that I said that is where it's either you go for a walk into town, and that's where you choose the Lilly arc, and go to the library, which is the Hanako arc. So that's where I stopped, and because I've already finished the Lilly arc, now we're gonna go to Hanako. So we should go to the library. The library seems as good a place as any to go. Hanako looked as if she was taken pretty off guard by Lilly leaving, so she might want someone to talk to. Slinging my bag over my shoulder, I make my way out of the classroom. I walk down the hallway to the library, past a multitude of closed doors. Through each one, the sound of furious rehearsal can be heard. Rock music blares out of one door almost as loud as a concert. I guess that's one of the advantages of a private school. There are actually enough rooms to go around at a time like this. And when I think about it, the grounds and buildings of the school are kept in pretty good condition. That can't be too cheap. I've heard that this place has some pretty serious benefactors. The walls of the library only partially insulate the noise of the festival preparations, but they're the only sounds to be heard. Not a soul stirs here, with everyone apparently enjoying the weather outside or working on festival events. Yuko isn't here either. Maybe she doesn't work on Saturdays. I quietly walk through the library, now fairly familiar with its layout. I head to the back where Hanako's private little corner is. I run my hand along the spines of the books on the way through, feeling the individual texture of each as I glance across the titles. I used to do this all the time at the library at the hospital. Some things never change, I guess. Like the smell of a library, no matter how much care you take, the paper in books is always going to degrade with time. Probably no matter which library you go into, anywhere in the world, it must have that same musty smell. I find something that looks light enough to read without any major thought involved, then look for Hanako in the reading area. Once again, she is sitting on a beanbag with her back to a bookshelf, reading the same book she'd had in the classroom. She's slowly making her way through the pages. Unlike last time I saw her here, I quietly take a seat in a beanbag. The noise is enough to catch her attention but not startle her. This delicate routine that must be followed each and every time I try to talk to her almost feels like a hunting game. Is that the same book as before? Yes, I'm almost finished. Cool. I wonder if I should. Do you mind if I borrow it when you're finished? My mouth is faster than my mind, it seems. Sure, you may not like it, but I'm sure it can't be that bad. After all, you've stuck with it, haven't you? I guess. I settle into my beanbag and set about reading my own book that had been buried in my bag. It's a light novel about pirates. To be honest, I'm barely skimming over the words, having chosen the book merely because it belongs to a different genre than I usually read. Finding it hard to muster enough enthusiasm to finish the book, and noting that I've inadvertently distracted Hanako quite a bit, I decide to try and make conversation. So I see Lilly left without you. She nods before taking her eyes off her book. She must have been really into it after all. Lilly said she had to go and meet someone. Oh, she's meeting her sister. Oh. Akira, her sister. Yeah, I knew it. Well, I mean, because I've done the Lilly arc first, so... Sister? I haven't heard her talk about her family. She and Akira used to live together. I thought all the students lived in the dorms. I mean, we don't have to. But it's easier, right? I mean, there's food here and you're close to school. I don't think I've ever been to class on time so often in my life. Her badly hidden smile proves quite rewarding. In the back of my mind, I know I have a bit of homework to catch up on, but it's quite comfortable in here. No one can find me and force me into working for their pet project either. Though now that I'm thinking about the festival, another question comes up. Hey Hanako, what are you doing for the festival? For a split second, I think that Hanako is about to throw her book in the air from shock. So sorry, I was just asking what you're doing for the festival tomorrow. Anything planned? I don't know. Hanako answers in the way that people do when they don't want you to ask any more questions. I take it large crowds and loud music aren't really her thing. Oh, okay. Change the subject. So what's Lily's sister like? She's nice. She's pretty like Lilly, but she dresses business-like. Yep, business-like. She's always wearing a suit. Ah, I see. And that makes her less pretty somehow. Yeah, I mean, technically she looks more like a guy than Lilly, but you know, she's kind of tomboyish, I would say. Hanako gives an embarrassed shake of her head, and also her Japanese genetics kind of show in her than Lilly. Lilly has the more Western genetics, as she explained to Hisayo when they were having like sex in the bathtub. Oh, I love that part so much. No, just different. I'll admit it, this has got me intrigued. To hear Hanako talk about someone other than Lilly is a first, and to be complimentary about it too. But as I try to picture this mystery sister, all I can think of is Lilly in a suit, and I can't imagine that not being attractive, not at all. Well, one day you'll have to introduce me to her. Okay. Our brief conversation ends as abruptly as it started, and we both return to our novels. The passage of time is marked only by the gradual movement of the patch of light cast through the window. Slowly, the noises from the various rehearsals in the building fade out and die as students start to get hungry and tired. Just thinking about that makes my stomach start to turn knots around itself. I think it's time to head back. Do you think Lilly would be back by now? I think I might head back to my dorm. I'm pretty tired from this week. And not a word of that is a lie. Moving to a new school as it ramps up for a major event has been taxing, to say the least. I can feel myself nodding off as I read my book. Okay, I might stay here a little longer. Looking at Hanako's book, I can see that she is only a few pages away from completing it. For a moment, I consider hanging around until she finishes, but once again my stomach turns, emitting a grumbling sound. Oh, is it grumbling or gurgle? Whatever. Sure thing. Well, I'm I'm going to head off before it gets dark. I'll see you around, okay? Should have said growling sound, but I don't know. Okay, see you, Hisayo. Later. Hisayo? Thank you for hanging out with me. Aw, she likes it. I could see how hard it was for her to get that simple sentence out of her mouth. It leaves me hanging for a moment. So, there is someone in this school who is even lonelier than me. Maybe lonely is a wrong word. I haven't been lacking company for this first week, but I've still managed to feel somewhat alone and detached. Maybe lonely is a wrong word for Hanako too. She has Lilly after all, doesn't she? I realize I've been standing there far too long without answering and pull off a flawless, not too exaggerated smile. You're welcome. Good night, Hisayo. Good night, Hanako. Sorry. Night. I leave her to finish her book and head back to the dorms in the promise of food. The next day, I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine since it's a Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday though, but the festival as well. From my window, I can already see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles onto plates for people with a craving for low-quality food. I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There will be a few exams in the coming week, but I don't consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not as worried about them as I probably should be. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day at the festival as I like. Excuse me. Finishing my morning routine, I exit into the hallway intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji's up to today out of impulse. I'm curious if he has any plans since everyone is doing something. Then again, I can picture him having built a soundproof shelter in his room. I don't know if this is the same. Or possibly something like... it's just the same. And the girls cross... okay. I'm gonna skip because I'm pretty sure I've read this before, so I hope I don't skip anything important, but we'll see. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, I know I said we'll see, but I noticed that this game is actually really smart that it skips over the stuff that I've read before, and the new stuff I haven't read, it stops the skipping. I mean, granted, I have done it before when I was going to the Emmy arc, but it's like sometimes I'm a little less trustworthy, but no, I think it's good. I don't know why I'm mentioning it now. I didn't mention it before with the Emmy arc, but it was just something on my mind, I guess, but you know. Okay, Lilly doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. Like I said, if you want to read like what she just said, you have to watch the Lilly arc videos that I've done, and you'd actually know what she says and like her character in general, because like I said, I've already done her, so I know a lot about her and stuff other than from what would be shown in the Hanako arc. So anyway, on top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off our shy mutual friend. Placing the bowl back on the counter, I call out to Lilly. Hey Lilly, don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find her and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face. Thanks, Hisayo, and if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please? Will do. Have a good one, and make sure you take a break, okay? I will if I can. See you later, Hisayo. I leave Lilly in the stall and head out in search of Hanako. In a way, I feel bad for leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she is enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, is that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. This is not surprising since I am standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partitioned desks, I see the top of a head with straight dark hair catching my eye. Hey Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition. Sayo. Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you. Oh, do you want to sit down? Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands? I brought some food, so I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by it on the way here and no one was around. You can make some food there and it'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say? Sure, let's go. Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate practiced movements. Good to go. Yeah. We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there is barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks. What? I don't know, it looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises into her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor. It's nothing. You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she is going to answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when... It's a game. It's actually read. It's a game. There you go. Sorry, I like to read what's actually said than how I say it. I try to at least. A game? Do you see the floor here? Is she like trying to dodge the cracks or something? That's what I kind of do when I was little, you know, like whenever I walk with my parents. Sometimes to entertain myself, I just like put my foot on the tiles and try to avoid stepping on the cracks. I'm guessing that's probably what she does. Let's find out. Do you see the floor here? What a bizarre question. The floor looks just like any other floor, covered in those tiles made up from squares of linoleum. What is that? Nothing noteworthy. Well, yes, what about it? Sometimes when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones. Oh, okay. That's close enough, but yeah, you know, kind of. Hanako's voice trails off as her explanation continues until I can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanako points the toe of her shoe at a tile that is barely a shade darker than the others. Well, like these ones. Oh, right, so these ones are no good. I point out a nearby tile. Yeah, something like that. Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanako shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty. She nods. Well, then no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I notice that Hanako is paying a little less attention to the floor. I wonder just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. Even he's doing it. Oh my god. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to back home. Would you like some tea? That would be great, thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanako, without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Eventually, she places a small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now. I don't know what you mean. Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles. You're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room. And because of that, you can forget about the outside. That would be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, the conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. But then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lilly. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold special appeal. That's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom. Yeah. Say, do you play chess? Chess? I've played a bit, I guess. I take it you've played before. A little. Without saying anything more, Hanako moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set. Do you want? Also, I do remember that we actually played chess in the Lilly arc as well. Sure, why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. Honestly, this is actually pretty fun. I love to play like chess with a nice quiet girl and stuff, you know? So, yeah, I'm down for it. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences, nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matters at hand. For a time, the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Checkmate. You're not bad at this, are you? At honest appraisal, her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age. I guess not. Does Lilly play? The absence of Hanako's answer causes me to think about my question. A bit. This is the first time I've played against someone other than her, or... She cuts herself abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku, maybe? That was not a question mark. Well then, I'm honored to have played against you. Can we play again? She asked as if she were asking me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gotten into her. Sure, though don't expect me to go easy on you this time. No, not that I was before mine. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. It's the same here. As we are setting up the pieces, there is a noise at the door. Good afternoon. Also, another thing that I really like about the Hanako arc is that you get to see more Lilly, so I'm really looking forward to it. Lilly. But that's not to say that I'm like just always gonna be fawning on her and like, no, I also do like Hanako also as well. So, you know. Oh, hey there, Lilly, are you finished? You both are here. Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left? Pretty much. We've just been playing a bit of chess. Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while. The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in view on her face, but Lilly can't see. I kinda think that we should just stay here. Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course, with everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty. Tea house? Oh, that's right, you probably don't know of it. Oh yeah, because I haven't been in there. I took the Hanako route, but if I took the Lilly route, I obviously would have gone there, so... There is a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often. It's like the Panera of this game. Sounds like a plan, Hanako. What do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before. If it's a Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way. Hanako and I rise from the table in our preempted chess game. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please lead on. Hanako moves to Lilly's side and we venture onto the school's corridors.